Welcome to the Learning Resource Center's tutorial on evaluating websites. In this tutorial, the importance of evaluating websites found through search engines such as Google or Yahoo will be discussed. Because of the widespread use of the internet, most people's first instinct is to use a search engine such as Google, Yahoo, or Bing when searching for information. We all know that the internet can be a valuable tool for research and contains a great number of reliable resources, but there are a few downsides of using a basic internet search to find college-level research information. Here are a few limitations to consider when using search engines. As an information resource, the internet can be so large and overwhelming that it is often difficult to find the exact kind of information you need for your research. Because anyone can create a website, it can sometimes be difficult to know the intention of the person who created the website. There is no official organization to the internet, and search engines generally do not separate authoritative websites from unreliable ones. With these issues in mind, it has become more important for students to examine each website found and consider whether the information is trustworthy and reliable enough to use for college-level research. To determine a website's trustworthiness and reliability, consider its authority, accuracy, objectivity, currency, and scope. The authority of a website is whether the person who is producing the information has a professional background in the subject matter. For example, if you are researching information related to pollution, you will only want to use websites whose author is a scientist or a person who has authored professional studies on pollution or the environment. The accuracy of information on a website can tell you a lot about the website's reliability. Generally, reliable websites will list sources of information they use to strengthen their research. An unreliable website will make statements with no citations or credible evidence to back up their claims. If a website has an abundance of errors in grammar or misspelled words, then it is likely the information is not being provided by a professional. The objectivity of a website is a sign of its professionalism and how well researched the information is. A trustworthy website will present information from an unbiased, factual, and non-persuasive perspective. When researching information on the internet, paying close attention to a website's currency is a major element for deciding whether the information is reliable enough to use for research. Using websites that are maintained and updated on a regular basis is important when researching topics where new discoveries are constantly made. This information can generally be found at the bottom of a website's homepage. Before using a website for your research, consider the scope, or how well-rounded the information presented is. A trustworthy website will discuss information within the context of larger issues and from different perspectives. An unreliable source will only discuss the smaller aspects of an issue and not provide a complete picture of the subject matter. Using these concepts to evaluate websites will play a major role in the quality of your research papers and projects. For example, you may find a website similar to this when searching for information on global warming. At first glance, this website looks as if it could be a trustworthy source of information. However, under the About tab, the only mention of an academic accomplishment by the author is an undergraduate degree in computer science. Looking further at the website, you will find a slightly biased perspective. This does not mean that information found here is wrong or inaccurate, but it would not be advisable to use or cite this website in your research because of the author's lack of authority. In this section of the tutorial, you will learn how to think about domains in relation to evaluating websites. In addition to using the previously mentioned concepts, you can also begin to think about how trustworthy a website is by paying attention to its domain. Domains are parts of a web address that can tell you a little bit about the kind of institution or organization the information originates from. Websites ending in .com or .net are considered commercial websites whose main objective is to gain financial income from the information provided. Not all websites that end in .com or .net are untrustworthy, but you should be more cautious of these websites than others. When a person from the general public creates a website, it will typically end in .com or .net, which means a person does not have to be an authority on the subject to create one of these websites. A trustworthy website with .net or .com in their domain should provide explicit information about their purpose and who is responsible for the information provided. For example, if you go to scitopics.com and look under the About tab, you will learn that it is an authoritative website whose articles are generated by experts in their field. Reading further, You will also learn that SciTopics has a partnership with other professional organizations in the health and science field, thereby increasing the trustworthiness of the information provided. A website with .edu in its domain is an educational institution and can generally be trusted. Educational institutions provide trustworthy information from different perspectives in an effort to enrich and further students' educational goals. All resources provided by an educational institution have been evaluated by professionals and are considered trustworthy, reliable sources of information. For example, found at tridentech.edu/library.htm, Trident Tech's library provides numerous formats of reliable, trustworthy information, all geared specifically towards college students and their education. A website that contains the domain .org is considered a nonprofit organization. A nonprofit organization's goal is to provide information or services for the benefit of the general population at no cost. Under normal circumstances, this makes the information provided fairly trustworthy. For example, at AmericanHeart.org, the American Heart Association's mission is to reduce disability and death from cardiovascular diseases and stroke, and it also provides resources and services to achieve this goal. However, being a nonprofit organization does not always make a website trustworthy. When using information from a nonprofit organization's website, be sure to consider who they are affiliated with, what their goal and mission is, and how they are funded. A website with .gov as part of its domain is a government website. Even though no government will ever paint itself in a negative light, regardless of its current issues, they can generally be considered trustworthy sources of information. Government websites can provide factual resources and information from leading scientists in their field. For example, at loc.gov, the Library of Congress provides many types of research resources in various formats. And if you click on the About the Library link, you will learn that it is the nation's oldest federal cultural institution and serves as the research arm of Congress. Regardless of the website, always look for an About Us link. Looking at the information a website provides about itself can be a key indicator for how professional, well-researched, or objective the provided information will be. For example, it would not be advisable to use this website for your research because it is not maintained by a professional and asks for donations. The EPA's website would be a more reliable source since it has been around since 1970 and is maintained by the government and environmental experts. It is often not as clear as choosing between these two examples when searching for authoritative information. If you have any questions about how trustworthy a website is, ask a librarian or your instructor for help. In this section of the tutorial, Wikipedia and using advanced options to search specific domains will be discussed. Most popular search engines will provide an advanced search option where you can specify the domain you want your information to be found in. You can specify the domain with Google by using this field. For example, entering .org will only return results who have .org in their web addresses. This can be a useful option when looking for authoritative information on the internet. When performing a basic internet search, a Wikipedia entry will likely be one of the first entries in your results list. For example, Wikipedia will occur as the first result from a basic search for global warming. Wikipedia is an online encyclopedia that can be edited by anyone, resulting in information that is often not thoroughly researched and is subject to having errors. Though it has become a staple for finding information, it is not considered by most instructors to be a reliable academic source and should not be cited in your research. However, you can use Wikipedia to get a general idea about the information you're interested in and start thinking about the direction you want to take with your research. Blogs and similar resources should be treated in the same way, not to be cited, but used to find research ideas and point you towards interesting information. When using any resource, you should always consider the information you find in the larger scope of what's happening in the world and for what reason the person or organization would provide it. If you have any questions about resources to be used for research, click on the Contact Us link to find a meaningful way to connect with a librarian.